1980-81 World Series Cup was a tri-series 50-over one-day international tournament played between Australia, India and New Zealand. This was the second instalment of this tournament, which had followed the breakaway Rebel World Series cricket competition of the late 1970s. New innovations such as white cricket balls and coloured clothing had now been adopted for the World Series Cup. After a round-robin series of matches around Australia, where each side played the other two teams 5 times, Australia and New Zealand progressed to a best-of-5 match final series. The Sydney Cricket Ground played host to the first final on the 29th of January 1981. New Zealand was given a great start to the best-of-5 finals when a superb innings of 81 by John Wright assured them of a commanding, if not quite invincible, total of 233 for 6.
It's a great shot.
Captain Geoffery Howarth combined with Wright in a second wicket partnership of 103, contributing 47 runs. There were handy late innings runs from Richard Hadlee and Lance Cairns, with Cairns dispatching Lillee for a 6 off the third to last ball of the innings.
What a marvellous hit! What a great hit!
This left Australia needing 234 runs to win off 50 overs. Careless batting and superb one-day bowling from Richard Hadlee and Ewan Chatfield reduced Australia to 28 for 4 after 10 overs.
It's out, yes, he's caught him, what a magnificent catch! Jeremy Coney, who's been as safe as a bank all summer, didn't let his bowler down, took a...
Greg Chappell and Allan Border attempted a recovery, but when first Chappell fell with the score at 93 and Border at 145, the remaining Australian lower order fell away, with Brian McKechnie picking up 3 wickets and Richard Hadlee finishing with 5 for 26.
McKechnie to Walters.
He's bowled him, and that's the one they wanted. Walters trying to force for the first time, and McKechnie doing a great job for his side. 8 for 147.
Australia were bowled out in the 40th over for 155, with New Zealand winning by 78 runs to lead the series 1-0.
In his own right, in the first of these limited over finals, takes the catch that ends the match with...
The series moved on to Melbourne for the next game beginning in 2 days. The euphoria of the win in Game 1 was short-lived for New Zealand, as they were routed for 126, with Bruce Edgar top scoring with 28. Lillee and Graeme Beard claiming 2 wickets each. Australia chased down New Zealand's score with ease, passing it in the 40th over and finishing on 130 for 3. Australian captain Greg Chappell top scored with 58 not out. The series was tied 1-1, with the next game the following day at the same venue, the MCG. The eventual drama that would see the game end in controversial circumstances was an unknown when Australia won the toss and elected to bat. New Zealand began well, with Hadlee removing Border for 5. However, Graeme Wood and captain Greg Chappell fashioned a strong second wicket partnership, unleashing some powerful shots. Both batsmen were particularly severe on New Zealand medium pacers Brian McKechnie, Martin Snedden and Lance Cairns. But with Chappell on 58, he hit Cairns out to deep mid-wicket, where Martin Snedden took what appeared to be a brilliant catch, diving forward and clutching the ball centimetres from the turf.
What a catch! That is one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. Greg Chappell is staying there. Umpires are conferring. Snedden says he caught it. And the umpires have said that's not out. And Howarth is having a word with umpire Cronin.
Umpires Peter Cronin and David Wesser claimed they weren't watching the incident, instead looking for short runs. Chappell stood his ground and he was given not out, much to the dismay of Geoff Howarth and the rest of the New Zealand team. This was from a time when umpires did not have the assistance of television replays in their decision making. It did appear, however, through replays that the catch had been taken fairly. Wood was eventually out for 72, bowled by part-timer Paul McEwen. Chappell followed, finally dismissed for 90, to a similar catch by Bruce Edgar.
Having said that, Keith, my opinion is Greg Chappell plays one away and there's another one taken out there. Beautiful catch this time. Greg Chappell's on his way. What a magnificent catch, almost in the same position as the one caught by Snedden, which was given not out. Edgar coming in, diving, and what a magnificent catch. Well, justice has been done, even though just a little late.
Snedden, ironically, the bowler. Late in the innings, Martin Kent and Rod Marsh made useful runs, with Australia reaching 235 for 4, with Martin Snedden 2 for 52 and Paul McEwen 1 for 31, the pick of the New Zealand bowlers.
Here's Dennis Lillee now in the first over. He's bowling to Wright, and with me in the commentary box is Frank Tyson.
New Zealand began their chase for 236 with positive intent. Openers John Wright and Bruce Edgar continued their great form they had displayed throughout the tournament.
A good shot, great shot.
They had progressed the score through to 85 before Wright chipped Greg Chappell to Martin Kent at mid-off and was out for 42.
Martin Kent and the breakthrough coming for Australia.
Next to bat was Howarth, who timed the ball nicely from the outset. Meanwhile, Edgar continued to bat with increasing confidence, passing 50.
Very vital 52 and
But New Zealand started to lose wickets, with Howarth, an elevated Lance Cairns and Mark Burgess falling, with New Zealand 139 for 4. Edgar continued on, putting together a partnership of 33 with Paul McEwen for the 5th wicket, until McEwen was caught by Graeme Wood off the bowling of Beard, with the score on 172.
Trevor Chappell to Bruce Edgar.
Edgar was then joined by veteran batsman John Parker, and the runs began to flow at a good rate.
That's 4 runs. What a fine.
In the 48th over, Edgar on 99 neatly played Trevor Chappell into the onside and scampered through for 2 to become the 4th New Zealand batsman to make a one-day international 100.
Tremendous innings under pressure. Standing ovation for the little left-hander.
well, that's a tremendous hand from Bruce.
Historically, this superb knock by Bruce Edgar is often overlooked because of the controversy that surrounds this match. With Dennis Lillee bowling the last ball of the 49th over to John Parker, New Zealand required 15 runs off 7 balls with 5 wickets in hand. Parker was brilliantly caught by Trevor Chappell, and New Zealand entered the last over still needing 15 runs, with Richard Hadlee on strike and Bruce Edgar at the non-striker's end on 102. The reason why Trevor Chappell, younger brother of Captain Greg, bowled the last over is up for debate. Many in the media believe it was a miscalculation of the bowlers' allotted overs by Greg Chappell, who at one stage attempted to work them out on his hand with the help of Kim Hughes and Rod Marsh. Commentator Richie Beno accused Chappell of getting his sums wrong by not getting Lillee, his best bowler, to bowl the last over. Richard Hadlee clubbed the first ball of the over to the long on boundary for 4.
He's hit that and he's hit it well. It's going to Max Walker. And that's 4! My, what a start!
With 11 runs to win off 5 balls, Hadlee once again faced up to Chappell.
It's Hadlee's favourite hitting position.
Over Chappell.
However, he missed a straight one and was adjudged LBW by David Wesser.
Oh dear, oh dear.
11 runs off 4 balls now required.
It would be a draw, 2 4s and a 2. Smith not a big hitter.
Next in was wicketkeeper Ian Smith, playing in his first international series.
Well, I'd have to disagree with Smith not being a big hitter. I saw him hit an awful big 6 off Dennis Lillee at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's a very tight situation for him.
A lot of pressure out there.
Smith swings the third ball of the over to mid-wicket, and he and Edgar make an easy 2 runs. 9 off 3 balls required.
3 wickets in hand. Marsh up for the stumping.
Next ball, Smith heaves wildly, getting an inside edge down to fine leg.
He's hit that, and that's runs. That's at least 1. He'll probably go for the second and test him out. He's going. He's made it. He's home. What a great effort. Ian Smith, crowd is stunned. Fine running between the wickets. Tremendous courage.
2 balls remain. New Zealand needs 7 runs to win.
In front of their seats.
With 1 ball remaining, New Zealand requires an unlikely 7 runs to win, 6 to tie. In the event of a tie under the rules of the competition, the match would then need to be replayed. Next in is bowler Brian McKechnie. Let's pick up the commentary now with Bill Laurie and Richie Beno from Channel 9.
On discussion. Well, it looks to me as if they're going to bowl underarm off the last ball. Rod Marsh is saying no, mate, but I'm sure he's going to bowl an underarm delivery on the last ball and bowl it along the ground and be sure that it has not been hit for 6. The umpires have been told, the batsmen have been told, and this is possibly a little bit disappointing. Let's make sure it is an underarm, but I've got the feeling it's a big ex-Victorian skipper. We're going to bowl an underarm. We haven't believed it. That's a disappointing finish. Disappointed Brian McKechnie, the crowd boo. And it's all over. After 50 overs, New Zealand 8 for 229. Well, that's disappointing. Chris Edgar saying, what's going on? I'm very disappointed, Chris Edgar. At the moment, Howarth coming onto the field.
No wonder the New Zealanders are disappointed, and none of them more disappointed than their skipper Geoffery Howarth. There he is now, talking with the 2 umpires Cronin and Weezer, and I know exactly the reason he's out there. He's played his cricket over in the United Kingdom with Surrey for a number of years, and the Benson and Hedges domestic competition there is a series of rules designed to make the game flow freely and to avoid incidents such as the one that happened here today.
Another piece of controversy often overlooked is that in the confusion before the final ball was bowled, one of the Australian fielders, Dennis Lillee, did not walk into place, and Australia had 1 too many fielders outside the field restriction line. Had the umpires noticed this, New Zealand would have been awarded 1 run for the no ball, and the final ball would have had to have been re-bowled, meaning New Zealand would have needed 6 runs to win. In later years, Greg Chappell claimed that he had been exhausted and stressed after a demanding season of cricket, and that in hindsight he was not mentally fit to be captain at the time. The match had been played in stifling hot conditions, and Chappell had been on the field for most of the game, having scored 90 and bowled his 10 overs on the trot. At the 40 over mark, he had informed wicketkeeper Rod Marsh that he wanted to leave the field. Marsh said that was not possible as the game was going down to the wire and he needed to stay out there. Chappell spent several overs fielding on the boundary because he felt overwhelmed by the conditions and the pressure of the situation. He also expressed remorse for the incident and regret for the position he had put his brother Trevor in and the associated vilification Trevor had received for years after the match. The fact was that New Zealand needed a 6 just to tie the game on a ground the size of the MCG in an age when the boundary was the fence, also from a batsman facing his first ball. This represented a highly unlikely scenario. New Zealand went on to lose the fourth final 2 days later in Sydney by 6 wickets, and Australia won the final series 3-1. Captain Geoff Howarth and the New Zealand team must be commended for their sportsmanship towards the Australians, as well as the cricket they played, given all the controversy. As a direct result of the underarm incident, underarm bowling was banned by the International Cricket Council, the ICC. At the non-striker's end for the final over on that fateful day at the MCG stood Bruce Edgar. Edgar had batted brilliantly and was on 102 not out, but unable to get on strike, he could only watch the drama unfold. And after the final delivery, he expressed some of that frustration with a well-known finger sign directed at Trevor Chappell. The underarm incident is now part of New Zealand cricket folklore, an incident that should never have happened, and for New Zealand fans, it will never be forgotten. One of the game's greatest commentators, Richie Beno, summed up the incident best with his closing comments on the day.
Chappell and Hughes were there counting on their fingers trying to work out who should bowl 46, 7, 8, 9 and 50. As it turned out, the sums were done so badly that Trevor Chappell was left to bowl the 50th over, and that's how it all happened. It was panic stations, and then when McKechnie had to hit a 6 off the last ball, just to tie, mind you, not to win, just to tie, then the panic became real, and they made certain that New Zealand couldn't tie the match. Now, everyone around Australia will have their own ideas on that, and we always get letters and phone calls about different things that happen, so I don't expect anyone to agree with me. I don't expect that you'll get more than 50% agreement on anything. Let me just tell you what I think about it. I think it was a disgraceful performance from a captain who got his sums wrong today, and I think it should never be permitted to happen again. We keep reading and hearing that the players are under a lot of pressure and that they're tired and jaded and perhaps their judgment and their skill is blunted. Well, perhaps they might advance that as an excuse for what happened out there today. Not with me, they don't. I think it was a very poor performance, one of the worst things I have ever seen done on a cricket field. Good night.